So for those of you who have watched a large number of anime, you know that the genre can cover a tremendous amount of subject matter, ranging from thrillers and mystery to comedies and gags to wholesome relationships and extreme drama. However, every once in a while there comes a episode that I will call a total package. It covers so many different genres and entertains you in so many different ways that it leaves you extremely fulfilled in a variety of manner. And I would have to say that episode 14 of Spy Family, aptly titled Disarm the Bomb, was one of those total package sort of episodes. It had mystery, it had suspense, it had action, and at the same time it had the Spy Family humor and wholesome nature that is the trademark of this series. And when you combine all of these, you understand just how good the series is and just how skilled the author, the director, and the animation companies are in bringing this total package together. Now, episode 14 came out yesterday, and if you have the ability to see this and have not yet, I would suggest that you go take a look at it because it is a very good episode. And it really shows how the series is evolving. Yes, we saw some suspenseful moments in the first part of the series from episode 1 to 12. However, we really are starting to see a shift in how the story is moving. You're starting to see more and more suspense as the story goes deeper into Operation Strix. And the thing I really liked about this episode, aside from the variety of different topics that it covered, was that every character that came out really had a key moment in this particular episode, ranging from the, scary meme-faced Yor that came out to protect Anya and save her from the terrorists, to Lloyd, who of course is the person who is moving towards resolving this conflict with the terrorists and preventing a war, to, of course, Anya, who is actually the key character in this entire storyline and shows just how significant her presence is in this entire story. And of course, the irony of this entire thing is considering just how much significance Anya had in stopping the war between the West and the East, nobody besides her and the dog will ever really know about her significance. What she did in this episode should be worthy of 10 Stella stars, and yet she will receive none for her actions. And yet this is appropriate, because if you recall, in the very first episode of the series, the WISE organization talked to Lloyd about his contributions to the world. As a spy, he will never be recognized for all the things that he has done to save the world and humanity. And yet, his actions themselves are so important that he should be proud of what he did. And considering Anya is a part of this spy family, the results that come from her actions is very representative of how this family works. And this reflects, again, the skill in which Tatsuya Endo writes the story. I have always enjoyed the story because it is not just a cute and wholesome story, which it of course is, and it is not just an action-packed suspense story, which the series is moving towards. It is the combination of the two. And when you bring that together and show the relationship of how these characters can move from that dark position to a very wholesome position and how that wholesome relationship can influence their dark world, it really stands out as a very unique story. And Tatsuya Endo does a really good job because he doesn't hold back on the punches and keeps the spy part extremely suspenseful, and yet when it comes to the wholesome nature of the family, he can bring that out in an instant. And that smooth transition that he does from the suspense to the comedy and, of course, the wholesome nature is a skill that I see very few writers have. And so I think this is a perfect story that he is writing from his writing skills because it gives the ability to show just how good a writer he is. But even with fantastic writing, if you didn't have the proper support from the director and the animators, you could take a perfectly good manga and ruin it in the anime. And probably many of you manga readers have seen situations where a really wonderful manga was destroyed during the anime. But so far, I would have to say that the director, Kazuhiro Furuhashi, is doing a fantastic job in being able to bring out the tension during the serious moments while retaining the wholesome nature of the family. This is something that actually is amplified in the anime when compared to the manga. The manga does a really good job, and of course the manga is the foundation. But the way this anime is directed does a really fantastic job of being able to retain the tension that comes during the spy story while having the extremely wholesome relationship that you see between Anya, Yor, and Lloyd. And when you bring that all together, I think that is one of the characteristics that all of the anime fans for this story endear. And you could see examples of that throughout this entire episode, such as the time when you see Yor protecting Anya from the terrorists, and the action that ensues during that time that is suddenly followed up with the extremely wholesome nature of the story when Anya apologizes for running out of the animal exhibit and getting herself into danger, and the love that you see from Yor in response to her apology. And this is something that is really, really well done by the voice actors, by the music, by the animation. You also see similar sorts of examples during the tense moments when Anya is trying to figure out how to resolve the bomb situation. Throughout that entire time, there is an extreme feeling of tension that is going on. You're not sure as a viewer what is going to happen, and even if you read the manga, you are thrilled by the scenes that you see happening because of the extremely well done pacing of this anime. And yet, while that tension is going on, you periodically see glimpses of this really hilarious moments when Anya becomes her goofy Anya self once again. And yet those goofy moments do not take away from the tension, and that pacing continues to go on so that people who are watching the anime are still thrilled by the story that happens. And I think that is a skill from the director of this anime. And when you notice that the director has done comedy as well as action in the form of animes such as Ranma 1/2 and Hunter x Hunter, then you start realizing that it may have been a good idea that they brought in a director who could direct so many different types of animes to create this one. And in addition to that, you of course have to give credit to the animators. WIT Studio and Cloverworks are doing a tremendous job in keeping this feeling of action, mystery, and tension going while creating that empathic moments during this episode. And of course, you understand that when you realize that WIT Studios was the creator of one of the most high intensity and darkest animes ever created called Attack on Titan. And one of the characteristics of that anime was the ability to keep the pacing and the tension going at an extreme pace to keep the audience's anxiety level high while they were watching the episode. And you see that in this particular episode as well. And so it is the combination of the story, the directing, and the animation that really makes episodes like these really stand out and bring out what I call the total package. And so I really enjoyed this episode. There was one specific monologue that I was looking forward to from Sylvia Sherwood, Lloyd's handler, and I was definitely not disappointed. Between this monologue and the second monologue that will come out in the following episode, this really gave me a tremendous amount of respect to the character of Sylvia Sherwood and made her one of my favorite characters in the story. It really brings out the realities of war, and it doesn't sugarcoat it because it is such a wholesome comedy episode. What it does is use the empathic moments to help emphasize how important caring is, especially in a time when there is great amounts of tension and hatred throughout the world. And so Spy Family really succeeds in multiple levels, and this episode really gave an example of that. And so, yeah, very good job to the animators, to the writers, and I really look forward to the coming episode. We will see the high-tension closing of the story, and we'll most likely also see an epilogue part where there's a tremendous amount of comedy and wholesomeness that always closes each one of these arcs in the series. And so once episode 15 comes out, I'll bring out another video and hope you join me at that time. But this was the episode 14 discussion for Spy Family. If you saw it, what'd you think about it? Any comments that you could leave will be greatly appreciated. And until the next episode, happy anime watching. And as always, Jaya, nice day everyone.